Welcome to LinesToGo installation videos. Today we will be removing and installing fuel lines on a 2001 Honda Accord using LinesToGo part number FL1111. While this particular installation is being performed on a 2001 Honda Accord, this set of lines will also fit the following year, make, and models as shown on your screen now. LinesToGo lines are made using original equipment end forms and fittings that are CNC bent for an easy and precise installation. We have also upgraded to stainless steel braided Teflon hoses for rust protection and to prevent surface fouling. These have an unlimited shelf life and anti-static PTFE liner. This set of LinesToGo lines are made from G2 Galfan coated steel tubing for rust resistance that exceeds OEM standards. Tech tip: disconnect the battery before working on a vehicle to reduce the risk of shorting out the battery on tools or lines. LinesToGo lines are made with a sectional design for easier installation. We also use color-coded unions on our sectioned lines. Just match the colors at the connections. Make sure to depressurize the fuel system before starting the installation. Tools required: 10mm, 14mm, 16mm, and 19mm wrenches, 10mm socket and ratchet, flat blade screwdriver, pliers and cutting pliers, drain pan, jack and jack stands. The level of difficulty for this installation is considered to be easy. To depressurize the fuel system, locate the fuel pump fuse using your owner's manual and remove it. Start the vehicle and wait for the engine to stall. Make sure to replace the fuse once completed. Start by disconnecting the negative battery terminal using a 10mm wrench. Behind the engine, use a pair of pliers to remove the hose connections from the return and vent line. Use a 14mm wrench to remove the supply line threaded fitting at the top of the firewall. Use a 10mm socket to remove the bolt that secures the fuel line bracket at the center of the firewall and remove the bracket from the vehicle. Raise and support the vehicle. Remove the plastic tray and clips that cover the fuel and brake lines from underneath the vehicle. Note, the tray was not present on this vehicle. At the rear of the vehicle, disconnect the supply and return line quick connect fittings. Note, the fuel lines have been repaired on this vehicle and the supply line quick connect fitting was removed. Use a flat blade screwdriver or socket to remove the clamp from the rear of the vent line and remove the hose from the line. Next, we will need to remove the fuel vapor filter in order to have room to remove the lines. Use a 10mm socket to remove the bolt that secures the filter. Pull the filter down and remove the 4 hoses from the filter. Next, use a 10mm socket to remove the metal bracket at the rear of the supply and return lines. Open the plastic clip and remove the clip from the lines. Remove the return and vent lines from underneath the vehicle. Use a pair of cutting pliers to cut the supply line behind the front subframe and remove the rear section of line. Remove the front section of supply line from the vehicle. To begin the installation of your new LinesToGo fuel lines, start by installing the front section of supply line labeled A2 into position. Start the front threaded fitting into the port at the top of the firewall. Next, install the rear section of the LinesToGo supply line labeled A3 into position. Start the threaded union noting the LinesToGo color-coded connection. Use a 14mm wrench to tighten the front threaded fitting at the firewall. Next, install the front section of the LinesToGo return line labeled B2 into position. Install the rear section of the LinesToGo return line labeled B3 into position and start the threaded union noting the LinesToGo color-coded connection. Next, install the front section of the LinesToGo vent line labeled C2 into position. Install the rear section of the LinesToGo vent line labeled C3 into position. Start the threaded union noting the LinesToGo color-coded connection. Replace the clip at the rear of the supply and vent line and secure it using a 10mm socket. Install the fuel vapor filter and connect the 4 hoses removed earlier. Secure the fuel vapor filter using a 10mm socket. At the rear of the vehicle, connect the vent hose to the rear of the vent line and secure the clamp using a flat blade screwdriver or socket. Connect the supply and return line quick connect fittings. Tighten all 3 threaded unions using a 16mm and a 19mm wrench. Secure the lines into the plastic clips and tray underneath the vehicle. Replace the clamp onto the lines at the firewall and secure it using a 10mm socket. Connect the return hose and vapor hose to the lines at the front and secure the clamps using a pair of pliers. Reconnect the negative battery terminal and tighten using a 10mm wrench. This concludes the installation of fuel lines on a 2001 Honda Accord using LinesToGo part number FL1111. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or would like to purchase the lines you saw today, please call us at 1-855-781-5992. Email us at info@linestogo.com or check out our website link below. And don't forget to take advantage of our free 2-day shipping. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button below, and we will see you on our next video.